Once upon a time, in the heart of Africa, there was a beautiful kingdom where the birds sang sweet melodies and the sun shone like a golden crown. In this kingdom lived a princess named Amina. She had the brightest smile and the kindest heart, and her laughter could make the flowers bloom. But Princess Amina had a secret that made her very sad. Every time she got nervous, she would fart. Not just any ordinary fart, but a loud, smelly one that could clear out a room. Because of this, no suitors wanted to marry her, and she felt very lonely. One day, her father, the king, decided to throw a grand ball. He invited princes from all over the land, hoping one of them would be the perfect match for Amina. The princess was excited, but also very nervous, which, as you can guess, wasn't a good mix for her. As the ball began, Amina met many charming princes. There was Prince Kofi, who could dance like the wind, and Prince Tunda, who told the funniest jokes. But every time one of them came close, Amina would get nervous, and pfft, out came the dreaded fart. The princes were surprised, and some were not very kind. They made faces and quickly walked away. Amina ran to her room, her eyes filled with tears. She felt she would never find someone who would love her for who she was. But then something magical happened. A young prince named Jabari, who had a great sense of humor, followed her. He didn't run away when Amina farted. Instead, he laughed and said, "That's nothing. You should hear my brother on Bean Day." Amina giggled through her tears, and they began to talk. She found out that Prince Jabari loved animals, enjoyed painting, and didn't care about her little problem. He liked her for her beautiful smile and kind heart. They spent the whole night chatting and laughing, and when the ball was over, they promised to meet again. Amina had finally found someone who accepted her just as she was, farts and all. And so the princess who farted learned that being herself was more important than anything else. She made a true friend, and maybe, just maybe, she had found her prince. The next day, Princess Amina woke up feeling different. She had a new friend, Prince Jabari, who liked her just the way she was. She smiled as she remembered their conversation from the night before, but she also knew that the kingdom still expected her to find a suitor who would one day become king. Prince Jabari visited Amina often after the ball. They would walk through the royal gardens, talking about everything from the stars to the tiny ants that marched in lines on the ground. Amina felt happy and comfortable around Jabari, and the more she relaxed, the less she farted. One afternoon, as they sat by the pond watching the swans glide gracefully across the water, Jabari turned to Amina and said, "I have something to tell you. I don't just like you, Amina. I like you a lot. And it's not because of your title or your kingdom. It's because of your laugh, your stories, and the way you care about everyone around you." Amina's heart fluttered with joy. She had never thought she would hear such words. She wanted to shout with happiness, but instead, she let out a little giggle and a tiny fart. They both laughed, and it was the most beautiful sound in the world. As days turned into weeks, the whole kingdom noticed the change in Amina. She was more confident and even more radiant than before. The people loved her, and they were happy to see their princess happy. But the king was worried. He liked Prince Jabari, but he wasn't sure if he was ready to be a king. He called Amina to his chamber and said, "My dear daughter, I see that you and Prince Jabari are very close, but you must think of the kingdom. We need a strong leader." Amina understood her father's concerns, but her heart ached. She knew Jabari was kind and wise, and she believed he could be a great leader with time. She asked her father for a chance to prove Jabari's worthiness. The king thought for a moment and then nodded. "All right, Amina, we will give Jabari a chance. He will be given tasks to show his strength, wisdom, and courage. If he succeeds, I will consider him as a suitor." Amina thanked her father and ran to tell Jabari the good news. Jabari was nervous but excited. He wanted to be with Amina, and he was ready to face any challenge. The first task was to solve a riddle given by the kingdom's wisest elder. The riddle was, "What is so fragile that saying its name breaks it?" Jabari thought hard and then answered with a smile, "Silence." The elder nodded, impressed. The second task was to show strength. Jabari joined the workers in the field for a day, helping them harvest the crops under the hot sun. He worked tirelessly, and by evening, he had earned the workers' respect. The third task was to show courage. A wild lion had been seen near the village, and Jabari volunteered to lead a group to ensure it wouldn't harm anyone. They found the lion, and Jabari, with a calm presence, managed to guide it back to the forest without anyone getting hurt. The king watched as Jabari completed each task with honor and kindness. He saw the love between Amina and Jabari and realized that a good heart was just as important as a strong arm. As the story of Princess Amina and Prince Jabari continues, the kingdom is abuzz with excitement. Jabari has proven himself worthy, and the king has given his blessing. But there's still one challenge that remains: Amina's unique condition. The royal physicians were baffled by Amina's situation, but the wise elder who had posed the riddle to Jabari had an idea. He suggested that perhaps Amina's condition was not a problem to be solved, but a message to be understood. He advised them to seek the counsel of the Hermit of the Hills, a mysterious figure known for his deep understanding of the natural world. Amina and Jabari journeyed to the hermit's abode high in the mountains. The hermit listened to their story and smiled. "Princess Amina," he said, "your condition is a reflection of your emotions. You've been holding back your true self, trying to fit into what the kingdom expects of you. Embrace who you are, and you'll find peace." Taking the hermit's words to heart, Amina began to express herself more freely, laughing without restraint and sharing her thoughts openly. As she did, her condition gradually disappeared. It turned out that her problem was not a physical ailment but an emotional one. The moral of the story is clear. It's only when we accept and express our true nature that we can find happiness and peace. Amina's journey teaches us that sometimes what we perceive as our greatest flaw can become our greatest strength when we learn to embrace it. And so, Princess Amina and Prince Jabari were married in a grand ceremony, celebrated by all the kingdom. They ruled with kindness, wisdom, and courage, always remembering the lessons they had learned. They were beloved by their people, and their reign was remembered as a golden age of prosperity and joy. The end.